Hey, what's up guys, Omogonix here and welcome to part 14 of my tutorial series where I teach you guys how to make a first-person horror game in Godot. So the focus of today's part is going to be adding sounds into the game. So in the last part, if you did watch part 13, what I did in that part is I forget what the other few things I did were. I did do a few other things, but the last thing which I remember doing in that part was adding in some sounds. Oh yeah, that's right. I think I also made a jump scare in that video too for the enemy AI, but I also added sounds in that video as well. However, I only added in a couple sounds, so today we're going to be focusing on adding the rest of the sounds into the game. So if you do enjoy this tutorial or you do find it helpful, be sure to like, comment and subscribe for more. And yeah, so if you are watching this for the first time, be sure that you do start from part 1, so then you do have more context, of course, as to, you know, the stuff that we're doing. I mean, in this tutorial, we're mainly just going to be adding in sounds, but, you know, if you do want to follow along fully, then maybe start from part 1. But yeah, so anyways, let's get right into it. So the first thing which we're going to be doing is we are going to be giving the enemy AI some footstep sounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my player here, and since I've already got like an audio source called feet, I'm just going to go copy this and I'm going to go paste it onto my enemy over here. So I'm just going to go paste it as a child of the enemy. There we go. And then I'll just move it up here. So then, you know, it's more with the enemy's legs. There we go. Alright, so now what we're going to do is it's going to be very similar to what we did with the player. So we're going to go into our player script. So player.gd. And with our footstep sounds array that we created in part 13, I'm pretty sure, what we're going to do is we're going to go copy that, so Control plus C, and then go into my enemy GD script. Then I'm going to go paste that into this script here, into my enemy script. So now we have an array for our footstep sounds. So then back in our player script, we also have the footsteps function which we created in the last part. So we're just going to go Control C that. And then we're going to go paste it over to the enemy script over here, func footsteps. And as you can see, we now have our footsteps function right here in our enemy script. So now what we're going to do is in our process function, where we have if not killed, we're going to go if speed over 0. So if our enemy's walking speed or running speed is over 0, then what is going to happen is our footsteps function will play. So basically the footsteps function will only happen whenever the enemy is walking. That's why we have if speed over 0 in the process function. Alrighty, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my 3D view here. Just going to go click onto my enemy parent script. So as you can see here, we have our footstep sound array. So what we can do here is we can go add some elements to it. So just add as many elements as there are footstep sounds which you have. So in my last tutorial, I gave the player 4 footstep sounds. We're going to be using those exact same sounds here for the enemy. So I'm just going to go quick load and add in my carpet footstep sounds as they're called. Although I'm just using them as a, you know, all-around footstep sound for anything, since I find that they can be used for, you know, not just carpet. And there we go. So now we have our footstep sounds added in. So now whenever our enemy is walking around, a random footstep sound will be chosen, and then it will play on the feet audio source. So when the enemy is chasing the player, we obviously want to make sure that the footstep sounds don't sound too slow. So what we're going to do is in our footsteps function, so we're actually going to, so in our footsteps function, what we're going to do is we are going to go down the line. So just at the top of the footsteps function, we're going to go if not chasing. So if the enemy isn't chasing and feet dot pitch underscore scale not equal to 1, then what will happen is our feet's pitch scale will be set to 1. So we'll just remove the exclamation mark and then boom. However, what else we're going to do is we're going to go copy this, paste it underneath here, then we're going to go else if. So else if chasing and feet.pitch underscore scale, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to change this 1.0 value to whatever you want your chasing pitch sound to be. So the pitch basically determines, like, how higher pitched. You guys obviously probably understand what lower pitched and higher pitched is, of course. Basically just how higher pitched it is, And also a thing with Godot too is when you do set a sound at a higher pitch, it also makes the sound somewhat faster as well. So it is quite useful if you do want to make, sprinting sounds. You can just easily turn up the pitch of a sound and then it makes it sound faster. So yeah. So what I'm going to do here as a test here is I'm going to set this pitch scale to 1.5. So we're going to go else if chasing and feet.pitch scale not equal to 1.5, then feet.pitch scale will equal to 1.5. So to make sure that this all works, I am actually going to go test it out quickly before we do start adding in other sounds. So how about we go do that? So I'm going to go into my level scene, and then I'm just going to press this little icon here to run the current scene, and now let's go test it. Alright, so now as you can hear, he is walking around. You can hear him moving and opening and closing doors and stuff. Oh. Yeah, you can literally hear him. Oh. There he is. Oh, now as you can hear, his feet are now at a higher pitch. Oh, and he killed me. One thing which we're probably going to have to do with that jump scare is like add a light onto it. Alright, so very clearly the enemy footstep sounds work fine. So now we can move on to the next thing which I want to do, which is the trapdoor sound. So I was thinking about what I could do for the trapdoor sound, and what I've decided I want to do is I basically want to do a thing where, so what I want to do for the trapdoor sound is I basically want to do a thing where we just use the regular door open and close sound, but we turn down the pitch scale of it a bunch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click onto my trapdoor here. Well, actually, we're going to go into the house scene for it, since the trapdoor is natively in the house scene, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is. Alright, so with our trapdoor hinge here, we're just going to, well actually I'm going to go open up my door scene first. So we're going to open up my door scene, grab the open and close sound, so just copy them, and then we're going to go back into my house scene and then paste onto the trapdoor hinge here, so select the trapdoor hinge, paste, and now we have our open and close sounds here. So I'm just going to test these out right now. Oh wait, not autoplay, sorry, I meant to click playing. Alright, so that's what it sounds like right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down the pitch scale of it to 0.5 and see how that sounds. Alright, so that might be able to work. It might be able to work. Maybe 0.7? I mean, it depends on how fast the open animation is. It's 4 seconds long, right? And then what about this this open sound? I mean, that's only like 2 seconds like that. We could try to do 0.5 for now. I think that will be interesting, 0.5. Let's try that with the close one as well, see how that sounds. Yeah, I think that one's going to be fine, the close sound at 0.5. So now we have open and close sounds on the trapdoor hinge. Now, since I've already got the scripting in for it, I don't think we will need to do anything different with that, so that should be totally fine. And yeah, so we don't really need to do anything else with that. The trapdoor sounds should now work as intended. I am just going to move them a bit more centered though, just over here. And yeah, that's a bunch more better. Alright, so next up we're going to do the light switch sound. So I was thinking about using the button sound at first, but then I realized, like, nah, that's not really the best sound to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, like, record a sound in Audacity where I just use my mouth, because I think I can do a pretty good light switch sound. So let's actually open up Audacity and I'll show you guys what I'm going to do with that. So for those of you who don't know, Audacity is a free recording and editing program where you can, record and edit audio. You can also, add a bunch of different effects and stuff like that. So yeah. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be recording a basic light switch sound here, just going, something like that. So anyways, let's just press the red button and start recording. Alright, so I just did a few little different variants just there to, to see if I can get something right. So I don't know if any of these are going to be good. I don't even know if they're loud enough. I should have probably put my mic close to my face. If these aren't good enough, then I will re-record them. But yeah, let's just listen to all 4 of these little sounds I did. Oh, wait. I just realized something as well. I just realized I had my project sample rate and my default sample rate set very low. I should probably actually re-record these because I just realized at how low of a sample rate I had at my project set to. Basically, the context is just a certain sound I was making for something which needed just a low sample rate. But yeah. Anyways, let's actually just re-record that. Alright, those will hopefully be better. Alright, yeah. Alright, we're going to use this second one here. So as you can hear here with my recording, you have a bit of static in the background. You can probably also hear a bit of static, in my mic right now as I'm talking in this tutorial. But anyways, when you're recording sounds in Audacity, it's actually very easy to remove that sort of like background static you have. So what I like to do is I like to just, just select a portion of the audio which has the static. So just something like that. And then you go Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, and then you want to go Noise Reduction, and then here we can go Get Noise Profile, and then what that's going to do is that's now going to get the noise profile of the noise which we have selected. So now we can go Control A to select all of our audio, then we can go Effect again, Noise Removal and Repair, Noise Reduction, OK, and then that should have reduced the sound. So now as you can see, the static is now reduced. You can also just repeat that if you want to. And now the static is even more reduced. Do keep in mind though that depending on the sort of recordings that you're doing, the more you do reduce the noise in the background, the more it could also make your normal voice lower quality or whatever kind of sound you're trying to do, right? But yeah. But with a sound like a light switch sound, it doesn't really affect the audio quality much, so we can just easily do like a double on removing the static, but yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to remove the portion of the audio which isn't even needed anymore, so we're just going to go remove that. And remove all this here, because all we need is this little simple sample here for our light switch sound. So now I'm also going to go Effect, Volume Amplify. Oh wait, I need to actually select what I want, so I'm going to go Control A, Effect, Volume Amplify. And basically you can just amplify this as loud as you want to, but I'm just going to do like an extra 4 maybe. Yeah, that's loud enough. Alright, so yeah, this here is going to be our light switch sound now. So now once you are done, you can go File, Export Audio, Export to Computer, and then you can just go export this to your project folder. So I'm going to export it as an MP3, and all these settings here don't need to be changed. You can just literally leave this all the rest as it is, and yeah, so I'll be back when I have exported this. So I have now added my light switch sound into the game, so here it is. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my light switch scene. So I'm just going to go lightswitch.tscn, and now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to add an audio stream player 3D to it. So I'm going to go right click, add child node onto the parent node here, audio stream player 3D. And so then we're going to go where it says stream empty, we're going to go add the light switch sound, and there it is. So I think I'm going to set the max distance of this to like 15. Set it to the sound effect bus, and with the volume I think we'll just leave it as is for now. We won't turn it down or up anymore, we'll just leave it as is. So yeah, also I am going to rename this to sound. Alright, so now we're going to go into our script view and into our light switch script here. So now with our toggle light function, what we're going to do is, so when we're switching the light on, what we're going to do is we are going to go $sound.pitch_scale equals 1.0, and then sound.play Well, actually, we don't need to do sound.play here. We can just do it outside of the if on or if not on. So we can just do that over here, like that. Also, if you want to as well, you can change the if not on to else if not on, since it literally just does the same thing. Alright, so then with this sound.pitch scale, the reason as to why we're changing the reason as to why we're changing the sound pitch scale whenever we're switching the light switch is so then we can differentiate between if we're turning it on and off, you know what I mean? So the sound is more higher pitched when it's turning on, and it's more lower pitched when switching off, you know? It just gives a bit of variation in sound as well, you know? But yeah, so then we're going to go else if not on, we're going to go sound.pitch scale, and we're going to make this a lower pitch, so maybe something like 0.8. So now our light switch sound should work as normal. So what I want to do now is I want to actually test out the trapdoor sound and the light switch sound to see how they both go. So I'm going to go into my level scene, and then we're just going to click on this little clipboard icon here to test the current scene and see how it all goes. Alright, so as you can hear, the light switch sound is pretty good. So yeah, the light switch sounds work alright. I'm just going to go over here. In fact, we could probably do the same thing with the lamps as well. We could probably add that same sound onto the lamps too. But anyways, let's now go test out the trapdoor. Yeah, that sounds okay. I feel like the trapdoor's a bit slow. We might need to change that sound. I mean, for now this is fine, but I feel like we should probably change it later, you know, to something that's more suited for this trapdoor. Alright, so what I've done here is I've actually opened up my lamp scene, since as I said before, I think I want to add the light switch sound onto the lamp as well. So I'm going to go into my light switch scene, just grab the sound here, copy it, paste it onto my lamp, paste, just like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm then going to go into my my lamp script. And so with my light switch script here, I'm just going to go copy the sound pitch scale line, and then I'm just going to go put that over here. So if on sound.pitch scale is 1, but if not on sound.pitch scale is 0.8. And then of course we can just simply do a $sound.play. Just like that, and then boom, our lamp now has sounds. Alright, so next up I'm going to be doing the stab sounds for when the enemy kills the player. So I'm going to record those in Audacity, since I think I can do a decent stabbing bloody sound, so I'm going to go try do that now. Also, I just realized all these errors here. What on earth were these all to do with? I'll figure this out later. Obviously the game works fine and stuff, but just confused about how there's 4,000 errors here. I just noticed that. But yeah, and obviously with this too, so if you guys are ever so before we do go make the jump scare sound, if you guys are ever testing out your game and then you see these errors here, so basically, they're nothing to really worry about, but if you do get them, you can listen to them, of course, because, if you do listen to them, it's going to get rid of the error, so obviously it's a net positive, right? So as you can see here, it says the parameter delta is never used in the function process. If this is intended, prefix it with an underscore delta. So what we need to do is we just need to go underscore. So then now we won't get that error pop up anymore. So the reason as to why we get that is because we have our, our delta variable, which is in our process function, right? But if it's not being used, then why do you have that variable? There's no reason to have it. So that's why we just use an underscore to get it out of there, just like that. So yeah, so do make sure that you do that with any of your functions which don't use a delta variable. So your process function, your physics process function, things like that, if they're not using the delta variable, then just comment it out like that. Because yeah, there's no reason to have the delta variable there if you're not going to use it. And by the way, you can't just remove it either, since the process and physics process function need to have the delta variable there, so all you can do is just underscore it out. Alright, so I'm back in Audacity, where I am going to now record the sound for, stabbing the player. So let's just quickly do that. So I'm going to go press the red button here to record. Alright, so let's see which one of them sounds the best. Probably the second one here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, record. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab a bit of the static. Maybe here. Trying to not grab any of like my little voice bits. There we go. Go effect, noise removal, noise reduction, get noise profile, control A, effect, noise removal, noise reduction, okay, and boom. Alright, so let's just now remove these bits here that we don't need. So now we just have the stabbing sound. So now I'm going to go File, Export Audio, Export to Computer, and now I'm just going to go export this into my project. So I'm just going to call this, we'll call this stab.mp3, export, and boom, just like that it is now in my project. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my, my enemy scene, and I'm going to create a new function in the enemy script. So I'm going to go create a new function. We're just going to call this stab sound. Now for now we're just going to put pass here because we do need to create an audio stream player for the stabbing sound. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab the knife and I'm going to go add a child node of the knife. It's going to be a new audio stream player because the sound's going to come from the knife after all. I'm just going to move it more towards the blade as well. Going to give it a max distance of 10. Set the bus to sound effects, and then I'm going to go set the stream to stab.mp3. Now let's see how this sounds. Alright, I think that sounds fine for now. I am also just going to rename this to stab sound, just like that. And boom, so now I'm going to go back into my script here, and where it says pass, we're going to replace this with $. I'm just going to write stab sound, and as you can see it grabs the path to our stab sound. And we can just do .play, and then that will play our stab sound. So how we're going to make this sound play from this function now is we're going to go into our animation player, and then we're going to go to our jump scare animation. And so what I'm going to do here is we're actually going to create a new track for the jump scare. So I think we need to do this from the monster enemy. Yeah, we need to do this from the actual monster enemy script itself. So we're going to go jump scare. We're going to go add track, and it's going to be a call method track. Alright guys, so something which I just realized is we can only do this method from the actual monster enemy script itself. So I'm actually going to grab the stab sound here. I'm going to go cut it from the enemy. Then I'm going to go paste it onto the knife in my monster enemy scene. So if you're doing this a similar way to me, instead of doing your stab sound in your enemy scene itself, go into your enemy models scene, so the monster enemy scene for me, and then add your stab sound to the knife there, if you're doing something very similar to what I'm doing. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to go create a new script for the monster enemy. So we're just going to go create a new script for this monster enemy itself. So new script, and then we're going to go just save this into our general scripts folder, of course, go create. And then in my enemy script we have this stab function. We're going to go grab this. So just go Control C, get rid of it from the enemy script now. Then go into my monster enemy script here, get rid of these functions, just have that. Then we can also get rid of the monster enemy at the front of the path here. So then it's just like this, and then boom, that will now grab our stab sound. So now what we're going to do is we're now going to go into our animation player, add track, call method track, and then go select your monster enemy, go OK. And so what we're going to do here is basically whenever the stabbing happens, so whenever it moves in like that, so I think it's around the 0.5 mark where it moves in, yeah, 0.5. So what we're going to do here is we are now going to go insert key, and then we're going to go stab sound. So you want to grab your stab sound function, go open, and then boom, that will now make sure that your stab sound plays. So of course it's not playing right now, but whenever we do actually play the game, it will play, because that function will then be called. So to test it all out, how about we go into the level scene and test it? Alright, so as you just heard, the stab sounds were playing with the animation. So yeah, that all worked. Alright, so I don't know if you guys have been able to tell, but let's say for example, right, like, I'm taking a shortcut off the stairs and the player is sort of like, falling onto the basement floor from the stairs, right? I don't know if you guys can notice, but the footstep sounds still do play when that is going on. So even when the player isn't walking on the floor, the footstep sounds are still playing if we're holding down the WASD keys. So in order to stop that from happening, so then the footstep sounds only play when the player is actually on the floor, in the if direction section here where we do play the footstep sounds, what we're going to do is we're going to add if is on floor, since character body 3Ds have a if is on floor function where you can actually, check if the character body 3D is on the floor or not. And if it isn't on the floor, then that's when, the player will actually fall. So anyways, we're going to do if is on floor, and then the 2 dots, and then we're just going to then indent our footsteps function. And now what that will do is that will make sure that our footsteps function will only play if our character body 3D, our player, is on the floor. Alrighty, so something else which I want to do is I want to actually add in interact sounds for the pause menu. So, for example, when you hover over these buttons here, I want there to be a sound that plays, and then when you click on the buttons, I want there to be a sound that plays. So I am actually going to make a few sounds in Audacity right now, and yeah, I'll see you guys in Audacity. Alrighty, so here we are in Audacity. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to press the red button to record again, just like I have other times in this video, and you'll see the sort of sound I'm going to do. Oh. Oh. Alright, so you guys will see why I did that. Out of context, it seems weird, but you guys will see it. So first off, let's just get rid of the static, of course. I've already shown you guys how to get rid of static. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this sound, and then I'm going to go Effect. And I think it's a reverb. Yeah, it is. It's reverb. And then I'm going to set some reverb to this sound. So maybe something like... So basically the room size basically is a setting that I usually change when I play around with the reverb in Audacity, and I also play around with the reverberance itself as well, which basically determine, how echoey the sounds are. So that's why I usually use the room size and reverberance. Oh. Oh. Yeah, wait. I think what I'll do here is I'll leave this longer part of the audio clip so then we can have more of a, reverb fade out, plus we can silence this bit of the audio here. Yeah, something like that. Control A. So yeah, if you ever want to silence parts of the audio, you just click on this little icon here, silence audio selection. Alright, so let's go back to the reverb. Might turn down the reverberance to 50. Oh. Repeat it. Oh. Repeat. Oh. Repeat again maybe. Oh. Yeah, I think that's alright. Okay, so I'm also going to turn up the volume of it a bit. Not too high though, just a bit more. Oh. Yeah, something like that. And then also we're going to be turning down the pitch of it too. Alright, so yeah, this is more the sound that I'm going for here. Also, we'll turn up the pitch a bit again. Alright, there we go. So this is going to be either the hover or interact sound. Haven't really decided yet. But now I'm just going to go export this into my project. I'm just going to call it menu sound 1.mp3. Go export and boom, there we go. Alright, so I've decided that for the hover sound for the menu, for the pause menu, we will be using that menu sound 1 that I just added in before, so this one. But also for the actual interact sound, I've decided I'm just going to use the button sound. So yeah. So anyways, here's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to open up my pause menu scene. Actually no, we're going to do it in the player UI. So we're going to add child node, audio stream player. And I'm just going to call this interact. And I'll make another audio source, call this hover. Alright, so with interact, we're going to load in the interact sound. Oh wait, yeah, that's right, I called it menu sound 1. Oh wait, no, the interact sound's the button sound, and then the hover sound is the menu sound 1. Set that to sound effects. So the reason as to why we're using regular audio stream players instead of audio stream player 3Ds is because, you know, they don't need to be coming from a certain direction since it's just in the pause menu, so, you know, the sound can come from, you know, just anywhere. So then the hover sound will be menu sound 1, and there we go. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my script. So with the resume game function, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go enter downline, go $interact.play. So basically what's happening here is when we press our resume game function, not only will the usual resume game function stuff happen, but the interact sound will also play. We're also going to do the same thing with the quit game function, and so then we actually do hear the sound play before the game quits. What we're going to do after playing the sound is we're going to go await get underscore tree dot create underscore timer, and then we can just do like a half a second timer and do true because we want the timer to happen whilst the game is paused. Then we do dot timeout, and boom. Alright, so even with the confirm safe password thing here as well, we could even do the interact sound. So just here, and then with exit safe, we could probably do the interact sound there as well. But yeah, so they're the only functions we have here right now. We don't have a function for opening a settings menu or a controls menu or the main menu yet, so that's all we can really do with that interact sound for now until we do make functions for these. But what we can do also is also in our player UI script, we can actually create a new function. I'm just going to go below my ready function, and I'm going to create a function called play underscore hover. And what we're going to do in this function is we're going to go $, and then grab our hover, then go .play. So we're grabbing our hover sound and then we're playing it. So what we can do with this is we can select our resume game button here. Then in your inspector menu to the right, you want to switch that to the node tab, and then you want to go down, and where it has mouse entered, so this is when your mouse enters the button, so not when you click on it, but when your mouse enters the button. What you want to do is you want to double click on this signal here, and then you want to type in your function that we just made before. Sorry, I wasn't even typing anything, there we go. So yeah, you just want to type in the name of your function that we made before, so for me it was called play underscore hover. Then we go connect. And as you can see, my play hover function is now connected up to the mouse entered signal. So now whenever our mouse hovers over this button, it will now play the hover sound. So now with the settings button, we can do the same thing. You can just, you know, rinse and repeat with all your pause menu buttons. There we go. So yeah, same thing with the controls menu as well. We can just go mouse entered, and then just play underscore hover, just like that. And connect, and then also the menu, the main menu function as well, or the main menu button I mean. And boom, there we go. Alright, so that is now all of our buttons here connected up. Now something which you might want to do to add a bit of variation in your pause menu hover sound, for example, is so then it's not just the same sound playing over and over again. What you can do is you can actually add a bit of variation to the pitch. So since we already have an RNG variable in this script, what we can do with our play hover function is we can do hover dot pitch underscore scale. So basically we're going to be setting the pitch scale of the hover sound. And I'm going to go rng.randf underscore range 0, and then wait, no, not 0. You can do, so basically whatever you do for the minimum value, you know, that can be whatever you want, but I'm going to do 0.8 or 75. And then I'm going to do, so it's going to be a range from 0.75 to 1.25. So basically whenever our hover sound plays, it will also randomize its pitch between a range of 0.75 and 1.25. So yeah, I mean you can even do the same thing with your interact sound function as well if you want to. But I think I'm just going to leave it as that for now, and we should go test it out. Also, something which I realized as well is it would probably be useful for us to actually have a sound for when we're setting a task. So if you want to as well in your set task function, you could make a separate sound if you want to, or you could just use one of your interact or hover sounds. I'm going to use my interact sound as an example. So I'm going to do, actually wait, no, I am going to use a separate sound. I'm just going to call this a task sound. So with my task sound here, I'm going to turn up the pitch scale to like 4. See how that sounds? Or 2. Alright, yeah, I think we're going to use 2. Alright, so what I'm going to do here in my set task function is I'm going to go $task sound dot play. So then basically, whenever the player gets a new task, then they will have a sound play for it. And the reason as to why I want to do that is so then the player actually knows when they're getting a new task, because they might not always notice the task changing in the top right. So it might be a good idea to have a sound associated with that, so then the player knows. But anyways, now that that's all set and done, let's go into the level scene and test out the pause menu sounds. Oh, I think I forget to set the quit game button for the hover sound. But yeah, so as you can hear, whenever I hover over the resume settings, controls and main menu buttons, the hover sound plays. It sounds almost like a monster trying to sing in a way when you're constantly hovering over them. But yeah, I don't know if I'll change that because it does sound a bit goofy, I will say. But we might leave it. I might change it later on. Who knows? But anyways, what I want to do now is I want to actually test out the task sound as well before we move on. So let's do that. Alright, so as you guys heard, when the task changed to the enter the house task, what then happened is the sound played, so yeah. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the sound for picking up the money. So as you guys know, in my little tutorial game I'm making here, we got to pick up some money which is in this safe. Also, something which I should do as well is probably add a light into the safe so then we can actually see it better. In fact, you know what, let's actually go add a light into the safe, hold on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a light into this safe quickly. The reason as to why is because it's, usually quite dark in there. I want the player to be able to see and hear better. Actually, no, yeah, we will probably need to add shadows if we don't want the light to seep out of the safe itself. We probably will need to do shadows. We can set a distance fade on the light as well, since it's, not really going to be needed all the time. It's only when we're going to be close to the safe. So we could maybe set the beginning length to maybe like 10, the shadow to like 5. And then the length would be like, I think, the length in which it fades out, I think. I'm not too sure. Yeah, wait, let me just disable the safe door. Yeah, something like that. But anyways, back on track. So let's go back to the level scene here. So now, as you can see, we now have money in here. So I'm going to go into my money scene. Just going to go money.tscn. So here in our money scene, what we're going to do is we're going to add an audio stream player 3D. And this is going to be the pickup sound, so I'm just going to call it pickup. And then where it says stream empty, I'm going to go quick load, and I'm going to add in my money pickup sound. So here it is, pickup money it's called. Now this is just a sound which I downloaded from freesound.org. Might need to even turn up the volume of it a bit, maybe to 3 dB. Maybe even 5 dB. Yeah, I think that goes alright. But anyways, so now that we've got our money pickup sound, what we're going to do is in the interact function for the money, we're going to go $pickup.play, but to make sure that the sound actually fully plays, right? As you can see, the sound is half a second long. So what we're going to do at first is we're actually going to make it so, here wait, first off, we're actually going to add a new variable called interacted, just to make sure that the player can't interact with the money multiple times. So func interact, if not, so if exclamation mark interacted, meaning if not interacted, then pickup.play and all this other stuff here. And then above pickup.play we'll do interacted equals true, so then the player can't interact with it again. But another thing we want to do as well is we want to set the visibility to false as well. So we're going to do visible equals false. And we don't actually want to queue free or, delete the object, the money object, as soon as it's picked up, because we want our pickup sound to play. So what we're doing now is we're just going to be setting the visibility to false at first. And then after half a second, so we'll do await get underscore tree dot create underscore timer 0.5 / false, so then the timer only plays when the game isn't paused, dot timeout. Now after 0.5 seconds, now the object will be deleted. In fact, if you want to have a bit of leeway for the sound, we could do 0.52 or something like that, and then boom, then it deletes. So yeah. Alrighty, so now we have the money interact sound. Also, I definitely do have more sounds to do, like for example, we gotta do the intro sounds, like the car driving and stuff like that, right? Also, I would love to add in a bunch more sounds in this video. I am kind of running out of time for this tutorial, so what I am going to do is one more sound, which will be the fridge open and close sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Audacity, because I downloaded a sound from freesound.org which requires a bit of editing, and I'm going to show you guys basically me preparing up the fridge open and close sound. That will be the final sound which I'm adding in for this tutorial. Then in part 15 we'll be adding more of the sounds. So yeah, so let's go open up Audacity right now. Alrighty, so here we are in Audacity. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in my fridge open and close sounds. Alrighty, so here we have it. It is an AIFF file. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do here. So I think that this first bit here is going to be fine for the open sound. So we're just going to delete all this. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm going to select it all, go volume, amplify, then we'll amplify it a bit. Yeah, I think that's good enough. And now let's go export it into our game folder. So I'm just going to call it fridge open.mp3. And there we go. Alrighty, so now what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go Control Z, because now we're going to do the close sound. So the close sound is going to be this one right here. So we're just going to select all this, get rid of it, and that. So that there's going to be the close sound. But I'm going to Control A, Effect, and I'm going to amplify it a bit. I didn't mean to click on that option, I meant to go click on Amplify. Alright, yeah, that's good enough. So then I'm going to go File, Export Audio, Export to Computer. And now this is going to be the fridge close sound, so obviously I'm going to export as fridge_close.mp3. And there we go. Alright, so what I'm going to do for the fridge sounds is I'm going to go copy the open and close sounds from the food cupboard here. Then I'm going to paste them over to the top door on the fridge, on the fridge, just like that. So what I'm going to do with the close sound is I'm going to change it to fridge close and fridge open. And there we go, so now we have our fridge open and close sounds. Just going to select these, copy, paste them to the bottom door now. Alrighty, so now we are going to go and test out all these sounds. So that is the end of this tutorial, guys. If you did enjoy, be sure to like, comment and subscribe for more. Before we do end though, of course, we are going to go check out the sounds that we've added in so far. We still do have more sounds to add in, which I'm going to be focusing on in part 15. But yeah, so to end it off, let's actually go and check out the sounds which we've currently got so far. Alrighty, so here we are. I could probably make the fridge open and close sounds a bit louder, perhaps. Could probably do that. I mean, they're fine right now. We still need to do the draw sounds. Okay, this is I need to fix up the safe light. Anyways, that dude's up there. 1883. Alright, so that's the code to the safe. Oh. Alright, so something which I just noticed when opening up the safe just then is, well, because of how we have the collider of the safe, it turns out we can just pick up the money before even opening up the safe. So I am going to have to fix that up. But yeah, that sucks, but again, I am going to have to fix it up. And there we go. Alrighty. So despite the game having some issues at the moment, obviously, because it's not done yet, I am still proud of what we've done with it so far. We are going to be doing a lot more, of course. In fact, I am actually going to quickly add sounds to the oven. Because with the oven, I think that it would pretty much just have sounds similar to a fridge when opening and closing it. So I think we can get away with just using the fridge sounds for that. So I'm just going to copy and paste my fridge sounds onto the hinge of the oven here. And now those sounds will play when opening and closing the oven. There we go. Alright, so anyways guys, that's going to be the end of this video. We've got a bunch more stuff to do for this game. I don't know how many parts this series is going to be, but it's definitely going to be probably around 20 or so, I would say, or maybe even a bit more. But yeah, so anyways, see you all next time, and bye bye.